Welcome to Bet On It. It is NFL Week 8. We're almost halfway through the regular NFL season. It's pretty crazy to think about. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Marco D'Angelo at Marco in Vegas on Twitter. And Joe Raineri, don't try to tweet him because he is shadow banned. All right, we're talking about the Thursday night game. And I'd like to bring up the funniest tweet I saw today. Well, not today, I guess, on Sunday. And that was after the Bucs lost yet another game. Sorry, Joe, for that one. But Baltimore -1.5, total 45.5 at Tampa Bay with Tom Booty. Yes, that is what Antonio Brown tweeted about his former team. And now we know for sure he needs to go for CTE testing. Marco D'Angelo, I'm going to go to you first. And then Joe has some explaining to do for laying double digits in a divisional game. But the Ravens, this is not a team that I trust all that much, particularly in the second half. But is this the buy low spot of the week or what?
Well, Kelly, I'm not going to go that way, and I know I'm going to be in the minority. I know a lot of people I've talked to that I consider sharp. They do like the Baltimore side in this game. Tampa Bay, they look like an absolute train wreck. And let's be honest, the Tom Brady situation's got to be wearing thin on his teammates. If your leader doesn't seem committed to you, why are you going to go to battle? You know, you want your leader to take you into a burning building and you're going to follow him. You're going to have that kind of confidence. And with everything going on with Tom, that's not the case this year. But it's a Thursday night game, and we know his ego. He's going to show up to play. Let's see if the rest of the team does or not. And for all the love that Baltimore's getting, this is still a defense that sucks, okay? I'm sorry. They're not good. They beat Cleveland last week. They beat Cleveland with 254 total yards of offense. Cleveland, couple turnovers, untimely turnovers as they normally do. Cleveland should have beat them last week. And yet all the love's going to come in for Baltimore on the road, on a short week, against a team that they don't play every year. It's not a division game. I can't do it. I'm taking Tom. Probably be the last time I will take him if they lose this game, because if they can't show up for a primetime game, then this season could be lost. But for me, Thursday night, I'm laying it with Tampa Bay. Or grabbing the plus points. I'm sorry.
Grab it.
Okay.
And they will be
NFL
on teasers.
games don't land one, except when they do. I think this looks like a 21-20 type of game either way. So I could actually see that happening in this one. Joe, I lean towards the under. Ariel, Epstein, and I are going to the game, so I've got to find a play, of course. But going back to what Marco just said, Tom Brady's been terrible in primetime. And that's since he talked about going to bed at 8 p.m.
Yep.
How are you going to play football starting at 8:30? Yep. Last week, you said you thought Tampa was in a get-right spot after Carolina not only fired their coach, got rid of their best player. Baker Mayfield's no longer starting. Now you got P.J. Walker. And Tampa just went in and laid an egg to a divisional opponent as a double-digit favorite. I asked you, is Giselle a witch? I might think a little bit harder on that one. Everybody thinks I'm joking, but TikTok never lies. So let's talk about this one and see whether you like the side or the total.
Yeah, this is tough because honestly, I wanted to light fire to everything that is Tampa Bay Bucks after that abysmal, disgusting, putrid performance last week. How dare a ref look for an autograph? I'm sorry, that's right, golf lessons after the game. Maybe you could have given him a little stick of some catching lessons, because why in the world would you drop a 75-yard touchdown pass? Don't get me going anyway.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. Would have changed everything.
That would have changed everything. I'm not going to lie to you. That was insane. Brutal. I could have caught that touchdown pass.
Yeah. Brutal. But I will say this. I do think Lamar Jackson here is an interesting guy, because we know him on the road in this spot has actually been pretty profitable. At night has been pretty good. The problem with the Ravens is you can't trust them in the second half. If it wasn't for, I believe, what was it, a missed field goal, some sort of special teams gaffe last week against Cleveland, Yeah, they probably blow a lead in that one as well. So I think the only way to look at this one is to look with Baltimore to get it done in the first half. In fact, Lamar Jackson, first half spread career, 37, 21, and 2 against the number. 64% with Lamar. He is the second best quarterback against the first half spread over the last 20 years. They will go into the break with a lead. That's how they do it. The problem with Baltimore is them being able to hold on to that lead. So I like it. 28-1 is Lamar on the road against the first half number. Prime time. Give it to me. We also know the Bucs. Here's another interesting one for you, Kelly. Ready for this? The Bucs team total this year, 1-6 to the over. So they don't score like people think they score. Do what you will with that. But this offense is broke right now, and I don't think Todd Bowles is the guy to fix it. I do think Lamar and company get out ahead early in this one, and then hold on for dear life, Cal. You're going to be at the game. Hold on for dear life, because whether or not Baltimore can hold on to that lead, yeah, I can't promise you that, but I want nothing to do with the second half. I'll take the first half with Baltimore.
I like it, but what's going to keep me from going out to get beers at halftime if my bet's already cashed? We'll keep an eye on that. Team total under for the Bucs. Sunday night, 8:20 Eastern, kickoff, Packers. Joe, I just mentioned a buy low spot for Tampa Bay. Could this get any lower for the Packers? I don't remember what the look-ahead line was, and I should have looked it up. This one's now up to 11, but if you gave me a guesstimate, I would have said Packers plus 3.5 at the Bills. Looking ahead to this one, total 47.5. I think I have to be on the Packers. The whole world is going to want to bet the Bills. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Are the Packers broken like the Bucs?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's amazing that we're having not one but two legendary quarterbacks fall off a cliff as fast as they have together, because we have seen this before, right? We've seen guys that hang around a little too long, and then it happens quickly. It's happening really quickly for two of the game's greatest here, and you can point fingers. Is it lack of skills anymore for Brady and for Rodgers? I don't think so, but obviously the supporting casts for both of these guys are not what they once were. I mean, terrible spot here. You are now, 3 straight games under 300 yards for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We're heading into week 8 here, and we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and the offense getting worse as it goes along here. And now they got to go into Orchard Park on a well-rested, healthier than they've been all year long Buffalo Bills defense that's pretty much just about ranked first in every statistical category, only allowing 13.5 points per game. This is not a place to get right with this offense. He's also in the media telling everyone, we got to make chance. Like some of these young guys, they shouldn't be getting the reps. I mean, he's basically telling the front office, get rid of all of these guys. None of them can play. That is not going to land well. It's not going to land well in that clubhouse. It certainly ain't going to do him any good in this game. While I want nothing to do with the spread because I could see this game being 21-0 at half, I do think the total is a little much here. So if I was going to play anything in this game, I would look to the under 48, 47.5. Green Bay's defense is the best part of that team right now, and even they've got some issues. But I would anticipate that if they're going to cover, they got to keep the score low. So I would lean towards the under 47.5 in this primetime Sunday night matchup.
Marco, this is tough. We mentioned Tom Brady's woes, right? Aaron Rodgers, though, is pretty good in primetime. His last 12 primetime appearances, he's had at least 3 touchdowns. Maybe this year is the exception to the rule. What are your thoughts on Packers at the Bills?
Well, I'll tell you how bad things are for Green Bay. Joe said the best part of this team is their defense. And this is a defense that if this is the best part, the last 4 games, they gave up 24 to New England with a third-string quarterback. They gave up 27 to the Giants, 27 to the Jets. And last week, Washington, who can't get out of their own way, beat them and scored 23. So if that's the best part of this team, they got problems. I'll throw more shade on them here. The only bright spot that I can say for Green Bay in this game in regards to it is they're actually they're in the middle of the sandwich for Buffalo. Buffalo's coming off of Kansas City last week, and they have the Jets next week. That's a bigger sandwich spot than Green Bay this week, other than the name, because we have the name Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers with all of the history and tradition. But this is a team that's not good. They're not scoring points, and that's not something that's just occurred. They've struggled all season long. They've scored 27 points twice. Second game of the season against Chicago, and then that New England game in overtime, 27-24. They're not good. And Buffalo, they're one of the, if not the best, one of the top two in the NFL, complete-wise, coming off a bye week. It's Sunday Night Football, so even though they got a bigger game next week with the Jets, they're not going to look past Green Bay because it is that Sunday night game. I've only got one way to go. Quote Teddy Covers, as he likes to say, if I'm playing, I'm laying, and I want no part of Green Bay. I'll take Buffalo minus the points, and they're minus 11. This is one of those ones where possibly maybe split your wager, Kelly. First half for half of it, full game for the other.
Yeah, I know.
I wish you guys could just see these faces we get.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Buffalo might just be free money. I can't do it. We're going to take a commercial break because I need a timeout. Timeout.
Boo! Yes, it's the final week of October, which means we have the World Series, college football, the NFL, NHL action, the NBA, UFC, soccer, and let's not forget about that college basketball right around the corner. Since we're almost obliged to have a Halloween commercial, let's make it a scary good one. Until midnight on October 31st, no costume is required to get a 31% discount on one all-access package of your choice at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo using coupon code BOO31 at checkout. This coupon will save you over $12 on a one-day all-access that includes any 5% plays. And it'll also save you over $18 off the 3-day all-access. Or why not go big and save over $90 off the 30-day all-access? Or perhaps take over business for the next year by saving over $600 with a 12-month all-access package. Coming out to just $3.77 per day for the next 365 days. Coupon code BOO31 expires at midnight on Halloween. But remember to use it wisely, as this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo. From my friend and I, happy Halloween.
Hey, it's now time for some of that TNA. Let's bring in the man with the pen at CalSportsLV on Twitter, Ralph Michaels. Ralph has a little promo here. Don't want to forget about that. Flash 100 right now. You can get $100 off Ralph's 30-day all-access pass. Ralph, I'll let you tell the people what they get over at WagerTalk.com.
Think about it, Kel. The biggest 4 weeks in sports, under $50 a week. Go to my homepage, buy the 30-day all-access pass for $2.99. Use coupon code FLASH100, F-L-A-S-H 100, and you'll get all 4 weeks. NFL, college football have a big 5%. Only my second football 5% in 3 weeks. I won the other. World Series action. NBA, number 1 last year. Number 1 this year, undefeated so far. NHL, number 2 last year. And college basketball just around the corner. It starts the first Monday in November. There is about 70 games that opening night. So check it out, Flash 100, 30 days for $1.99.
Ralph, we have a ton of new viewers on this show, and well, we like to make fun of some things and have some play on words. I'd like you to explain to them what TNA is.
Well, you know, TNA is something we made up as sort of a joke moniker. It's trends and angles. But we actually talk more systems. Most people analyze trends and angles as team specific. Ohio State is this as a conference favorite. This team is this off a loss. But when we talk systems, I feel they're much stronger because their situations and teams fit in those situations or roles. How they do in revenge, how they do off buys, how they do in those type of situations. So we're not looking at a team specific or a coaching change might change that. But these teams through a period of time have all fit into a certain category, and the results have either been positive to play on or negative to fade.
I love it. Last week, we spoke about dogs to the under in the NFL. Give me an update on how that is going.
Well, dogs went 7-7 last week, and over-unders went 7-7. So does that mean we jump off the trend? No, that just means there was a 50-50 week. Dogs are now 55.8%. But I do want to mention this. NFL dogs of 4 or more went 6-3 last week, and they are now 37-18, 67.3%. As I mentioned, totals went 7-7. The updated record now 86-128. That is 59.8% to the under. But Kelly, listen to this number. Division totals have gone 8 overs, 26 unders, and 1 push. So if you have bet every division game this year, you have cashed 76.5%. There are 5 division games: Atlanta, Carolina, the Jets against New England, Houston, Tennessee, San Fran and the Rams, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Keep that in mind this week as you're looking at those division games.
That's pretty wild, Ralph. Oh, go ahead.
Division games, and now division games have tended to go under more than the regular, but I went back the last 5 years, and division games are about 46.5%. So, this could be an anomaly, but it's something to pay attention to. Don't go crazy wild and say, oh, wow, it's a 76% system, because it's a very small sample size for one season. When the historic 5-year record does lend to go under, it's not as strong as those numbers. So we always want to take those with a grain of salt and not give you wow numbers that you bet too much on just because of a system and a record for that year.
Absolutely.
System number one I want to talk about, Kel, after we talked about division games, is we want to look at a non-division foe. When we have an away dog of 5 or less, so we have a small away favorite, it means you're pretty evenly closed. You're playing a non-division game, and in their last game, they scored 20 points or less. Does that sound like a team that you're familiar with, Cal? Let's see, who was a dog in their last game, scored 20 points or less. Now they're playing a non-division foe, and they're an away dog of 5 or less. I'm going to put an asterisk on this, but I want to mention it because of the record. Denver is in that role, but are they really an away dog because they're playing in Jacksonville? Remember this record, though. It's 48-16, 75%. And it's not too hard to figure out. Non-division game, you're an away dog of 5 or less. In the last game, you were a dog and you scored 20 or less. Pretty simple. Teams like Denver, if you want to consider them away dog, 48-16, 75%. If the team lost as a home dog, like Denver did, in the exact same situation, 22-2, 92% against the spread. So we'll keep track of this, see what happens. But again, this has an asterisk because of the London game. Before I finish, Kel, I want to get your thoughts. Does a system count as an away dog when you're playing a neutral game in London? Or does the excitedness of being in the game, knowing you're under the national spotlight, playing in a different country, negate the away dog feeling for you?
This is tough because I got in an argument with my buddy Chris. We were in a survivor pool together, and I liked the Packers the most in England versus the New York Giants. And everybody said, oh, well, you don't like to play road teams. I'm like, well, they weren't a road team. Both teams were technically on the road, but I have my certain set of rules. I do think the London games deserve somewhat of an asterisk. I mean, I thought last week was a very buy low spot on the Broncos at home with that defense. This team is in shambles. It sounds like they're trading away the whole world, or at least throwing out feelers in order to do so. I am not touching this team with a 10-foot pole. While I appreciate your 92% system play, I don't think I have the guts to do it.
I'll keep track of that. And when that does apply to a real away dog, we'll bring it up again. couple weeks ago, we had a nerd chart, Kel, about teams off a bye. And home teams off a bye was actually a negative if you go back and watch a couple episodes ago. But I found this system, and it actually goes against that. So there are times when we talk about home teams off a bye are a negative, but when you are an undefeated home team and you are off a bye and you are game 5 or later, so you're not 1-0, 2-0 doesn't count as undefeated, 3-0 doesn't count, but when you get to 5-0 and higher and you're off a bye, undefeated teams, doesn't matter if you're home, doesn't matter if you're away, like Philadelphia's against Pittsburgh, have gone 15-6, 71.4%. So I'll tell you what, you have momentum going into the bye. You have a feel-good situation. You're undefeated. You come out of the bye rested, 15-6, 71.4%. System number 3. Let's look at small home favorites of 3.5 or less off a road loss. We're going to throw out the last 2 weeks of the season. A lot happens. You're playing a good team. You're resting starters. So this is week 14 or earlier. Small home favorites of -3.5 off an away loss. So you have negative momentum. You're off a loss. You're playing a very competitive team because that line is, you're basically just an even team with your home field edge. Those teams have gone 21-49, 30% against the spread. That says to fade Indy against Washington. Indy, of course, off a loss to Tennessee, a small home favorite. So that says to fade Indy or play on Washington. And while this one lost last week, I'm going to mention it again because I still think it's a solid system. Pittsburgh covered in this role last week. You win as a dog of 6 or more. You're a dog of 6 or more again. It's gone 17 wins, 45 losses. That's 27.4%. That's with the Pittsburgh win last week. That says to fade Chicago. The Bears off that big win as a dog, another sizable dog. So before I get to Stats Sun, Denver with an asterisk with a powerful 22-2 system, but they're not a true away dog. Undefeated teams off a bye says to play on Philadelphia. Week 14, small home favorites off an away loss says to fade Indianapolis or play on Washington. And it says to fade Chicago or play on Dallas when a team pulls an upset as a 6-point dog, 6 or more point dog, and is a 6 or more point dog again. And for those that didn't watch last week, my son, JM Sports CLE on Twitter, you could follow him, Jeff Michaels at Sports Memo, came up with a winning system. He had another college system, and now he's getting a little cocky. So he threw in an NFL system, so I said I would share it with you. Road teams playing a division game with a bye on deck. It's as simple as it gets. San Francisco is on the road. They, of course, are playing a division foe. San Francisco has a bye on deck. Those teams have covered 65.5% against the spread. And if you're not a double-digit favorite, so if you're a dog or if you're a single-digit favorite, they have gone 36-15, 70.6% against the spread. It says to play San Francisco this week, and it won't happen again to week 13 when it says to play on Green Bay, Washington, and New Orleans. So thanks, Jeff, for that NFL system. We'll see if it was good as your college football one last week.
Love to see it. He's trying to give his dad a run for his money. Thank you to the Stat Daddy and the Stat Son. Let's have a profitable TNA. Time for those teasers. I'm not sure I have the power to do this, but I'm just going to say this. Johnny Detroit wanted to axe this segment like 5 years ago. And I fought really hard for this segment. I have lost more money betting teasers this year than I care to admit. I updated my spreadsheet on, I guess it was yesterday, Tuesday morning, after the Pats. And I just want to get rid of the segment. I don't know why we're still doing it. It's not profitable. It might be profitable again next year, but in the year 2022, the year of our Lord, teasers, long teasers, I blame the Colts. They have just sent me over the edge. Lose by 9. Of course they did. Marco, do we have to do the segment? I'm gonna cut it. That's it. Nope, Dan, I just decided. Dan,
it's like
Dan,
the
I just
guys
decided
with
we're
the
cutting this
clipboard,
segment.
the
We're gonna
math
move
guys.
on.
If you
It's time
run the
for Are
same
You High?
play 1,000 times, you're gonna win 51.5% of the time. It's gonna be that answer. So no, we can't get rid of it. All right, we're coming back. All right.
I think we just get rid of it.
I gotta get one.
I think if we just push it off to the wayside, it might start winning again. I'm just so frustrated. Like the Colts, really? Like
Yeah.
I can't say, because now I cannot trust my producer Dan to edit out how I truly feel about that Colts team. Not only did they have multiple opportunities to win said game, I just needed them to cover the 8.5.
Kelly, I do a
Pick
radio
six.
show here in town on Fridays at one of the sports books, and one of your good friends comes on there. He goes back and forth with Jay, and I asked him, how's teasers been? And John Murray had the biggest smile on his face that I've ever seen him have, other than when he's making a joke about
What
you,
a
but
smug son of a bitch. I love John Murray. I miss him a lot, but that does not surprise me. Of course. And guess how much of that money goes into his pocket? Why? That's why I'll never understand. First of all, I'd like to go on a little rant here, because I get this comment a lot. She works for the books. I don't work for the books. I work for myself. And in fact, if you heard the in-between commercial break, what I just said is I keep missing out on good numbers because I have to do this show for you guys. I don't get paid enough for this. I'm supposed to be on the beach about 12 miles that way betting games. That's what my dream job is. I love WagerTalk. It's been really great to me. But damn it, Marco, that pisses me off that John Murray is so freaking smug.
Taking the money.
I hate him. I'm going to text him right now. Go ahead. Tell me about your favorite teaser that I can't wait to lose.
Well, Kelly, I'm going to get my misery out of the way early, and I'm going to use the Thursday night game as one of my legs of the teaser. So then I don't have to, wait till Sunday for the misery if it goes down. But I'm taking Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. I feel the wrong team is favored in this game. Now you're going to give me 6 more points, and I'm going to get up over the number here, all the key numbers. We talk about it all the time, the 3, 4, 6, and 7. Yeah, I'm doing that. Tease Tampa Bay up. We got them plus 7.5. That's leg number 1. Leg number 2, I'm going to be talking about this game more in the show later as well, but we'll take a little insurance policy and use them in a leg of the teaser, and that's the Houston Texans. Why? Well, because it's the number. We get it over the key numbers. It's a low total, 40.5. And you got a misperception from last week's scores. You look at the game and you see Houston, and you saw they got blown out by the Raiders. I was actually at that game last week. That was a game for 3 quarters. The Raiders were in trouble most of that game, and they got a big stop, and they got a pick 6 late in the game that blew the game open. I like this Houston team. They're a good young team. They're playing hard. Get them over the touchdown in what is a horrible spot for the Tennessee Titans, which I'll talk about a little bit later, maybe in the deli section. But take Houston and Tampa as a teaser for this week.
Sorry, I'm still texting John Murray. Joe, go ahead.
You're going to get me in
Tell
trouble.
Tell John we said hi. All right,
I said, John Murray. I just went off on the group chat with Ariel and Sammy P, and I'm just getting all these question marks. You'll just have to wait. Sorry.
He's going to have to wait to figure. Tell him to watch the show. He'll figure it out here.
All
right, Marco.
Flip it for him.
Yeah, exactly. Send that to him there, Danny. All right, very simple here. I'm going to start with the New York Jets getting 7.5, right? Listen, the Jets have some issues. Number 1, they lost Breece Hall. Number 2, they lost Vera Tucker to a torn bicep. So the offensive line, the offense in general took a hit. But I loved what the Jets did, where they wasted no time. They knew they lost Hall, and they go out and make a trade to replace it with a 24-year-old running back, James Robinson, that was not being utilized in Jacksonville. It sends the right message to the team. For the first time in forever, the New York Jets appear to be being run like a football team and not a fire sale by the time week 8 comes around. Listen, they have an identity. They know who they are. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run it again, and they're not going to put Zach Wilson in a position to kill them. Now, can they continue to win games that route? Well, he's only got one touchdown pass here in the last, 5, 6 games, somewhere along those lines. We're going to need Zach Wilson to step up at some point. But I don't think New England, on a short week, who has no identity whatsoever, they have a quarterback controversy in week 8 right now. The locker room doesn't know who's the quarterback is. The quarterbacks don't know who the main guy, who the quarterback is. We keep hearing they're both going to play. That's a recipe for disaster. I'm shocked that Belichick is allowed to get to this particular point. I think this is a one-score game one way or the other. I think this is 3-4, somewhere in that ballpark there. I have no problem pushing them up over a touchdown because there's no way do I think the Jets are going to be losing by more than a touchdown in this game. And I also think we've got some value backing New Orleans this week, and I don't care who the quarterback is there. I do think points are coming in that game, so I do think also that being able to get New Orleans at about 8 right now at home, that's a pretty good deal. So give me New Orleans and give me the Jets to get it done in a teaser here, Cal.
That is the grossest teaser I've ever heard of in my entire life.
It's disgusting.
This whole card is disgusting. Did you guys know we only have 2 teams this week with winning records playing each other?
Yes.
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 Marco, you want to guess which those 2 teams are? The Giants and the Seahawks.
Nope.
The Giants and the Seahawks are the only 2 winning record teams playing one another this week. This card is putrid.
Yes.
I want to vomit. Packers plus 11. Really? I'm supposed to go with that? I'm supposed to lay 9 with the Cowboys?
No.
I don't even know what to do, you guys. It is 4:15 on the East Coast right now, 1:15 on the West Coast, and I still didn't have a best bet for NFL. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'm going to try to figure it out before we come back.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
While I was trying to debate on my best bet for the end of the show, I opened the WagerTalk odds screen, and just like that, Tampa Bay is now a 1, and if not a 1.5 point favorite. My whole screen lit up green, and now it's got a yellow even with 1.5 there. Marco, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give me a different teaser leg, even though it's going to lose anyway.
Yeah, this is well. Thanks for the vote of confidence there, Kelly. But
listen, I am self-deprecating at this point, Marco. What do you want from me?
Time. And there's two options here. If you want to go to the traditional Wong teaser, there is no better one to use than the Denver Broncos this week. They're plus 2.5. You take them to 8.5 in a total that's 39.5. But as I said off air to you two, I don't trust them, okay? Their offense is so broken right now, and you're traveling across, the pond to go to London. I just didn't feel comfortable. So I will go with the Saints because it is a play that you're going to hear me talk about, and it is a number that we can tease. Now, the bad part of that number is this is a game that is going to have a lot of scoring, and we always talk about the higher the total, the less meaningful the numbers are. But from what I saw from both the Saints last week and the Raiders, I don't see the Saints getting behind by more than 2 scores. And unless we see some pick sixes from the Raiders again, they're not going to get their separation as well. So give me the Saints replacing Tampa, who is now a favorite.
Thank you for that one, Marco, because I just didn't want you to get obliterated in the comment section. We appreciate the comments, good, bad, whatever. Again, Marco's the only one that reads them, so I didn't want him to have to read bad things about himself. Marco, in the college segment, I told you we had to close down the deli because everybody was getting way too fat and sassy over there. But it sounds like you didn't listen to the rules here in the NFL, and the deli is serving what kind of disgusting sandwich this week?
Kelly, I'm Italian, okay? We gotta eat, all right? I gotta feed my family, and it's the family that tunes in to watch Bet on It every week. So we got a sandwich, and sometimes you're not gonna like the menu. I'm sorry about that. Like my mom used to tell me, eat it. There's kids starving in some third world country that would appreciate that sandwich. And being the great child that I was, if it was something I didn't like, I said, well, you know what? You can send them mine. But this week, after I got done getting a backhander and finishing my sandwich, we've got the Houston Texans. And I like this play. And this is a spot where it's all about going against Tennessee. You want to talk about a sandwich. Okay, last week, they played the Indianapolis Colts. That is the only team in their division coming into this season that anybody gave a shot to compete with them for the division title. And a lot of people, including myself, thought that it was going to be the Colts. Well, they beat them, and they beat them for the second time this year. That means they own all the tiebreakers. So you want to talk about fat and sassy, it's got to be the Tennessee Titans after last week's game over the Colts. And remember the old South Park cartoon and Who Killed Kenny? Well, who killed Matt Ryan? That was the Tennessee Titans in those 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers in 2 games, Mr. Matt Ryan. Yeah, enjoy your retirement. For the other part of this is look at next week's game. Look at what this is sandwiched between. You're coming off, yes, I know this is a division game, but Houston, they've got 1 victory on the season. So, yeah, they're not concerned about the Houston Texans. They're more concerned about next week on the schedule that they got to play the Kansas City Chiefs, who is going to be one of the teams battling for home field advantage. It's going to come down to the way it looks right now, Kansas City, Buffalo, maybe Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans in a great spot. This team is fighting hard. Even though they've only got 1 victory, they have been in their games until last week. Let's go ahead, take the Texans, calling for the outright upset. We used them last year in a spot for the sandwich game, and I got a lot of grief in the comments before the game that week. Didn't get too many afterwards when they won outright. Let's go ahead and take the Texans as the sandwich game of the week.
Is there anything better than that, Marco? Like just the sweet silence of victory.
Yeah. Crickets, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, if they can't chirp about something negative, they can't chirp about anything at all. Joe,
That's it.
We started this new segment. We have a lot of new viewers here on Bet On It. We appreciate everybody tuning in. And we know that a lot of you old faithfuls know this segment already because we've been doing it all year. But every single week, Joe gets to ask, are you high? And he finds a total that's maybe a little too high or not high enough.
Yeah, and it seems to be a running theme here. Last week, we talked a little bit about that Raider game Marco was at against Houston. That thing opened up 45.5, and it wasn't high enough for me. And I got a similar game this week on tap that involves, well, the Raiders again. As the Saints and Raiders doing battle there, you can see the number 49.5 right now. This opened up around 48. So you can tell that it certainly wasn't high enough in the marketplace, wasn't high enough for me either, and I still don't think it is high enough here. I mean, listen, you've got a Saints defense who for some reason the market still considers to be elite like they have in years past. This defense has fallen off a cliff. They now have the worst defense in the NFL against the run when it comes to yards for the running back before anybody makes contact. Almost 2.5 yards this Saints defense is giving up to running backs before anybody touches them, before there's any contact. So needless to say, Josh Jacobs is set to have an absolute monster game here against the Saints, and vice versa on the other side, too. We also know the Raiders' defense not great against the run. And I don't care whether it's Winston, I don't care whether it's a red rifle. Both of those guys are going to have opportunities to be able to get the ball downfield, and they're going to be able to get the ball to Alvin Kamara even more importantly. Both of these teams have been playing to the over the last month or so here. I don't see why this changes. I think this is an extremely high-scoring game. I think this lands in the mid-50s somewhere when it's all said and done. This is going to be a shootout. This is not going to land in the 40s. This game is absolutely going to land in the 50s, given what we know about these two defenses. They're not great, but the offenses absolutely can score points, and I think they're going to score a ton of them in this game, Cal. So as far as I'm concerned, not high enough between the Raiders and the Saints this weekend.
Are we going to just kick it right back for your Saints barking dog pick, or would you like me to go a different route?
Oh, I know exactly. Stay off my pick, will you? I'm stealing my pick. No, I'm going to go different, though, but that is a consideration. Absolutely. Actually, Cal, I ended up going with this Washington team. I know, before you throw up, and believe me, because I threw up a little bit even writing it, the Commanders have a new quarterback. Heineke, did you guys see? He actually won a game last week because they actually scored points. And now they're taking on an Indianapolis team that couldn't handle Matt Ryan anymore and threw his ass to the bench. And they're going to now hand the ball to Ellinger, who has not thrown a pass in the NFL yet. Not a regular season game, not one. And now they're going to put him under center, and somehow this is supposed to correct the issues that the Colts have. I don't see it. Say what you want. Carson Wentz was about as inept as humanly possible. I believe 16 career starts for Heineke. The team averages just about 21 points in his starts. They were averaging less than 17 with Carson Wentz. This is an absolute upgrade at the quarterback position for this Commanders team. Also, still a ton of question marks on the defensive side. Shaquille Leonard probably not going again this week here for them. The linebacking crew for Indianapolis, not great. The running back crew for Washington, very, very good. The hook was out there. 3.5s were available. I think Indy is in trouble because you only give the ball to a guy that's never taken a snap in an NFL regular season game. You announce him the starter for the rest of the year unless you are absolutely desperate and have nothing else going on. I think Indy is really desperate. I think Washington might have found something a little bit here, and I got no problem taking the field goal, the 3 or 3.5 guys, if it's still available. Hop on it. I'm backing the Commanders to get it done here, Kel.
Yeah, the commies were on my long list as well, Joe. I just wasn't sure if I was maybe overvaluing last week's win over the lowly Packers. When's the last time the Green Bay Packers have been called lowly? Like the 1980s? It's a pretty sad day for Packers fans. Unfortunately, we'll see how the rest of the season ends up panning out for them, Marco. But I'm not sure I want to we're seeing 3 minus 120 even. I bet this one goes to 2.5. So if you like the commies, get on it now. Marco D'Angelo, I need a dog. I need some help. I've still got 8 teams on my list for the most garbage week in the NFL.
Well, Kelly, I got a dog, but it's one of those Chihuahuas.
So
we got a little baby dog with.
Are you giving me a pick'em? Are you giving me a pick'em right now?
No, we're giving you the Saints to march on in.
There you go.
The Saints, we all saw them on Thursday night, and they self-destructed in the final couple minutes of the Thursday night game. I was at the hockey game, and I looked at score. It was tie game, and I said, I actually got an interesting game for Thursday night. And then I looked at halftime, and it was 28-14, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? They only had 2 minutes to go before halftime, and yet the Saints didn't quit. They still kept coming back in the second half and made it an 8-point game with all of those turnovers and 2 of them being pick sixes. They had 3 turnovers in the game. You can't win when you're -3 in turnovers. We know that, but they only lost by 1 score. So I give them credit for that moving forward. I told you when we talked about the teaser, that Raider game, the final score is misleading. Josh Jacobs carried that team with the running game. And yeah, they'll have success this week running the football against the Saints, but the Saints are going to have the same success running against the Raiders. Neither team really can stop anybody. You look at the Raiders, they've given up 20 points was their season low last week. Season low, 20. Everything else has been 30, 23, 24, 29, 24. And now they're going on the road and playing in a dome. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the Saints plus the points. The Saints got to cut down the turnovers. You think there's got to be a regression to turn that around. They lead the league in turnovers. 16 turnovers on the season. If they have a clean game, they win this game easily. If they're just even in turnovers, they still win the game. I like the Saints for my barking dog with whichever quarterback they have, and they'll have a couple gimmick plays in here with Taysom Hill as well.
You know how to not turn the ball over, Marco? Just play the Raiders. That's a team that doesn't benefit from turnovers very often. Or how you have a get-right game for the Raiders defense. You play the Saints and you capitalize on 3 turnovers. I will be staying away from that one, but yes, both of you guys are right. Saints, an excellent teaser spot, even though Joe likes the over. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time to visit Ariel and Andy.
Boo! Yes, it's the final week of October, which means we have the World Series, college football, the NFL, NHL action, the NBA, UFC, soccer, and let's not forget about that college basketball right around the corner. Since we're almost obliged to have a Halloween commercial, let's make it a scary good one. Until midnight on October 31st, no costume is required to get a 31% discount on one all-access package of your choice at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo using coupon code BOO31 at checkout. This coupon will save you over $12 on a one-day all-access that includes any 5% plays. And it'll also save you over $18 off the 3-day all-access. Or why not go big and save over $90 off the 30-day all-access? Or perhaps take over business for the next year by saving over $600 with a 12-month all-access package, coming out to just $3.77 per day for the next 365 days. Coupon code BOO31 expires at midnight on Halloween. But remember to use it wisely, as this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo. From my friend and I, happy Halloween.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It's now time for Prop Shop. That's right, our 2 favorite prop queen, and we'll call you prop king, Andy, because you've just been crushing it over WagerTalk.com. Andy Lang, Ariel Epstein, WagerTalk.com. We got a Thursday night football game that we're going to get some best bets for. But Andy, before we do that, let's talk about what you're looking for in NFL Week 8.
Well, first off, first quarter unders. We had our first really bad week of the year. There's always 1 or 2 mixed in there. And it was a little bit frustrating because one of the games that the first quarter went over, the final score ended up 16-10. And then one of the other games that the first quarter went over, the final score ended up 16-9. So I look at these as anomalies. You're not going to turn a profit every single week. So we had our first bad one, but we're looking forward to rebounding and getting back on track. The 5% props just keep cashing week after week. We're now on a 7-1 run on 5% plays, and we'll have another one this weekend for sure. The other thing I'm kind of looking at is I think we have some interesting spots for some team totals. You look at some of these teams that are giving up a lot of points early in the game, the Saints, the Chargers, Steelers, Falcons, Bengals, Texans, Chiefs, and Lions. We got some good matchups here. The Dolphins at the Lions, the team total for first half Miami is 13.5. I bring this up because 2 touchdowns get you the over. The Panthers at the Falcons. The Panthers surprised the Bucs, obviously. Their team total is only 8.5, and we saw the Falcons just get torched last week by the Bengals. The Raiders and the Saints, the first half team total for the Raiders is 13.5. Saints are giving up a lot of points, especially when Andy Dalton throws to the wrong team. And, of course, we have the Bengals and the Browns. Team total first half for the Browns is 9.5. Touchdown and a field goal get you over. The Bengals have been involved in very, very high-scoring first halves. So if you're looking at some team totals, take a look at some of those first half totals.
Andy, I do have to apologize. I think I may have been the one that mushed your first quarter unders.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'll take full responsibility. I throw a lot of blame around on the show, and I will take full responsibility for that. I did share it with my friend group, And of course, that's exactly how Murphy's Law works. So, Andy, apologies for mushing those first quarters. Ariel Epstein is coming down to the great state of Florida to hang out with me for this Thursday night game, Ravens at Bucks. But before, I need to know what you're looking at for NFL Week 8.
For NFL Week 8 overall, it's still a really good place to look for those passing touchdown markets. You're going to get a lot of these different defenses like Washington and Atlanta that still allow a lot of passing touchdowns to their opposing quarterbacks. Make sure to keep a good eye on any of the quarterbacks that are kind of underrated. Someone like a Geno Smith is someone you'll always get plus money on to throw over 1.5 passing touchdowns if he's up against a team that's bottom 10 in passing touchdowns allowed. It's good value. There's also a lot of different defenses that you can attack when it comes to any kind of passing yards props or any kind of receiving yards allowed to running backs. I love the total tackles market as well. Andy's been crushing it. I love those in prime time. It's starting to feel like these prime time games, the best way to bet them is defensive tackles in addition to special teams like field goal props. The field goal props still aren't overly juiced yet for a lot of these kickers. It's good spots sometimes in the primetime games. Those markets just aren't really touched as much.
All right, prop queen. You know what I need for this Thursday night football game, and that is a best bet. And since we're going to be there in person, it better not lose.
I can't lose these bets if I'm going to be with you. I'll get punched in the arm. I need to get the over on the 28.5 receiving yards prop for Bucks running back Leonard Fournette. I don't want anything to do with any Ravens props except maybe a defensive prop. However, for Leonard Fournette, he has done so well against defenses that struggle against pass-catching running backs. The Ravens are bottom 10 when it comes to allowing some of the most receiving yards to running backs this year. Fournette has gone over 28.5 receiving yards in every game he's faced a team that's allowed at least the 15th most or anywhere from the most to the 15th most receiving yards to running backs. Fournette has gone over 30 yards receiving. Even last year, whenever up against a defense that was bottom 10 against receiving yards allowed to running backs, he went over this in all three of those games. Now, as for the Ravens, they have allowed for a bunch of different running backs to go over this. Ramondre Stevenson, Mostert, Singletary, P. Ryan. Those are all different running backs that went over 28.5 receiving yards against them. I like this over of 28.5 receiving yards for Leonard Fournette. I'm also going to go with some defensive tackle props. They're not out yet. The players that I'm zoning in on, Devin White for Tampa Bay, their linebacker, has been averaging just over 8 total tackles a game in prime time dating back to 2020. In addition to the safety, Mike Edwards, safety seemed to get a lot of tackles against the Ravens. Then on the Ravens side, their linebacker, Patrick Queen, he's been averaging just over 7 total tackles a primetime game for the last couple of seasons. Linebackers seem to lead the way against the Bucks. Look at those 3 different defensive tackle props.
Good stuff, Ariel Epstein. Let's kick it over to Andy Lang for another best bet.
Let's take a look at Lamar Jackson. We'll take under 19.5 completions. He's been dancing around this number, but he's only gone over twice. And one of those games was against Buffalo. That was a game that they lost. And the other was the insane game against Miami. The final score in that one was 42-38. But he's gone under 3 games in a row. And I think sometimes we get an idea of a team in our head like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and maybe we struggle with getting our initial thoughts about that team. They're just not very good right now. And I don't think this is a game where they're going to be looking at chasing points. This is a game where they have a healthy Gus Edwards. They have a healthy Lamar Jackson. Kenyon Drake looked good on the running game. I think this is a running game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a great run defense going into the season. I don't think that's the case right now. If you're going to beat this Tampa Bay team, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you look at it and say, let's control the clock. Let's keep Brady off the field. I don't think they're going to ask a lot of Lamar Jackson through the air. And if they do get ahead early, now this bet looks even better because they're not going to force any passes. So I'm going to slightly lean to the under here on Lamar Jackson on his completions. This isn't a huge bet, but I think game script could go in the favor. I'll take Lamar under his completions.
I love that, Andy. And my fantasy team loves the Gus Edwards shout out. Hopefully he can have maybe a TD or 2 to get me over that finish line. Thank you to Ariel Epstein at Ariel Epstein on Twitter and Andy Lang at Bump Sports. Make sure you guys are following them for all of their free prop bet information. Head over to WagerTalk.com and check out all of Andy's first quarter under bets as well.
You're a winner at WagerTalk even before the game is played with our Wager Rewards program. How does it work? Simple. Earn wager rewards on every purchase made at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Those wager rewards can be converted into wager bucks on the first of every month. There is no additional fee to participate, and no additional details are required outside your valid WagerTalk or Sports Memo membership. On the first of each month, 5% of your wager rewards will be converted to wager bucks, which are available to purchase on all future purchases. Doesn't it feel good to be part of a rewards program with no additional hoops?
I'm normally really excited during best bets because my best bets have done really well historically. Now dropped 2 straight, and while I'm still up on the season, this is not good, especially not with a week like this. So I'm just going to keep it really simple and go against Joe and Marco. And it's not something I wanted to do. I know I'm not really going against them. I don't think they're going to lay it with the Bills, but I was kind of hoping to get a little bit of assistance from them saying, Kelly, we agree with you. This is too many points. The struggles in Green Bay are not as bad as they appear. I made this game 7. The game is now 11. 11 points for Aaron Rodgers, who I mentioned has 3 touchdowns on average in his last 12 primetime appearances. I may be insane. This Bills team may win the Super Bowl and everybody can hate me. I will say this. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, whoever the hell is in that backfield, I need you to open up the running game. You know how? Just run the football. Please leave that out, Dan, so I don't get in trouble again. I'm always in trouble. I stay in trouble on this show, and I'm in big trouble taking the points here with the Packers because, as Joe said, it's going to be 21-0 at half, and I'm going to hate myself. But this week I hate a lot. And my other options were to lay 9 with the Cowboys. Oh, take the 2 plus the Saints. I kind of like Marco's Browns pick, but I'm going with the same best bet I had circled, and I told our producer early on, this is gross, and I apologize in advance. Marco D'Angelo, you said your best bet's worse than mine, so let's hear it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I figured out a way to help offset all the losses from our teasers. We're going to get a swear jar, and every time Kelly drops an F-bomb, it's going to cost her $100. And I guarantee you, we'll even out the teasers by the end of the season with that one.
I just do it now because everybody gets – when you told me that the comment section, there's a few guys that don't like it, and Johnny Detroit got mad last year on The Hustle, and now that I work at Barstool, I can just say whatever I want, and now I'm all sweaty because I got all upset about the Packers bet.
And enroll.
We just got to finish the show, Marco.
Well, oh boy, you're going to love this. Joe, I'm going against your Jets, okay? In Bill, I trust, all right? I know that it is a circus this week about the quarterbacks, which one's going to be there starting the game, if he's going to play the whole game, are they going to do a tandem of it? What I do know is that when Bill Belichick gets embarrassed, especially on nationally televised Monday Night Football, I'm going to back him the next week because I don't want to be a player in that locker room this week because it is not going to be fun week of practice for these guys. Belichick's going to light the fire and they're going to come to play. And it's an angle that I've used for 40 years. When a team gets embarrassed on Monday Night Football, I'll almost blindly bet them the next week because nobody is going to want them. And I'm actually surprised if you look at the way the Jets are playing, and there's a lot of love for the Jets because, they're the Jets. Even when they were bad, they were the Jets. They have a following. They're a New York team. And it's been a long time since they've been relevant. And the last time they were relevant is when it was the Jets in New England, battling out those years, the Sanchez years with the Jets and Coach Rex, whatever. I'm blanking there. But I'm taking New England here. They've got a solid defense that I think is going to slow the Jets down. And before we put the Jets in the Super Bowl, guys, let's look at who they've played during this 4-game winning streak. They played Denver that can't get out of their own way. They can't score any points at all. They played Green Bay that at the time I really said, okay, this is a good win. Well, do you really have trust in Green Bay right now after what you saw in Washington the following week and then what you saw the week before in London against the Giants? And then they played Miami without Tua. And then they played my Steelers. That was the game that Trubisky was so bad that they had to bench him. And we saw Kenny Pickett come out at halftime, a rookie, to play the game. So they beat my Steelers. They haven't beat anybody. New England wins this game. They're a favorite for the reason. I've got New England, and I'm sorry, Joe, my projected score is 31-20. That would kind of nail that teaser, but I like the Patriots to get the job done. I'm not greedy. They can just win by 6, and we'll both be happy.
Sorry, Marco, I am greedy, and I have a season win total to under 8.5 wins, so I need the Jets. Joe Raineri, what is your best bet for this week in the NFL?
Things were going swimmingly, and then Marco had the all over it. I mean, just terrible.
What are you talking about?
Terrible.
The college show, we agreed. We all loved each other. This show has gone the complete exact opposite way.
Yes, which means we'll probably all be right somewhere along the line here. All right, so here is the deal. I'm going to keep it short, and I'm going to keep it real sweet in this one. The one thing that we know, and this is going to be hard to swallow, guys, but this is kind of a historic year from a ATS standpoint, especially a total standpoint. Right now, this year, we are seeing divisional matchups hit unders at a rate we have never seen before in over 20 years. I mean, we are talking about unders in divisional matchups, 25-10 thus far. It's absolutely crazy, and I can't think of two teams better equipped to go under this weekend than the Rams and the 49ers, who 10 of the last 13 have gone under between these two teams. 43.5 in the marketplace. We already saw the game one back in the first week of October go under. All the weapons in the world aren't going to make Jimmy Garoppolo any more dangerous downfield. I do think they're going to be very methodical in this game here. I think McVay, coming off of the bye here, is going to have some things cooked up. The bottom line is they want to keep those weapons of the 49ers on the sideline and not have them on the field the entire time. So I think time of possession, grind them out kind of game, a divisional matchup, which has been absolute money this year here, guys, to the under. If it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it. I'm going to take the under in what is going to be the two best defenses in the National Football League that are playing one another to dominate here. So I'm going under the 43 here, Cal.
Apparently, Joe was listening to Ralph's TNA about those divisional unders. All jokes aside, he was not. We filmed Ralph earlier in the day and plug and play because he's a busy man. He's a good man. Yes. Ralph Michaels just crushing with that TNA. If you guys scrolled ahead to the best bets into the recap, you need to go back and listen. He brings the heat. We're going to take our last commercial break, and we're going to get to that same said recap so that I can be done for the day.
Boo! Yes, it's the final week of October, which means we have the World Series, college football, the NFL, NHL action, the NBA, UFC, soccer, and let's not forget about that college basketball right around the corner. Since we're almost obliged to have a Halloween commercial, let's make it a scary good one. Until midnight on October 31st, no costume is required to get a 31% discount on one all-access package of your choice at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo using coupon code BOO31 at checkout. This coupon will save you over $12 on a one-day all-access that includes any 5% plays. And it'll also save you over $18 off a 3-day all-access. Or why not go big and save over $90 off a 30-day all-access? Or perhaps take over business for the next year by saving over $600 with a 12-month all-access package, coming out to just $3.77 per day for the next 365 days. Coupon code BOO31 expires at midnight on Halloween. But remember to use it wisely, as this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo. From my friend and I, happy Halloween.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with all of my cynicism here on Bet On It. The college show was going so well. The NFL show, next thing you know, we're throwing blows. Starting off with that Thursday night game, we're already head-to-head. Marco says lay it with Tampa Bay. Joe says take Baltimore in the first half. I don't know what to do in that game. I will put out a video with Ariel Epstein prior to the game starting with some sort of action on that one. Green Bay, Buffalo on Sunday night. Marco and I disagree. I have the ugliest best bet of the year, Green Bay plus 11 in that one. Joe says take the under, 47.5 if Green Bay even stands a snowball chance in Buffalo in staying in that one. Teasers, just don't even bet them. Next, are you high? Las Vegas, New Orleans over 49.5. Sandwich game. I like that sandwich a lot, actually. +2 with the Houston Texans. Barking Dogs, also like Washington +3. And New Orleans +2. Yet I still went with the best bet of Green Bay +11. Somebody asked me, what the hell is wrong with me? Best bet for Marco is New England -1.5. And Joe says those divisional unders keep cashing, and they're going to cash again Sunday afternoon in LA under 43. Again, we love you guys. Whether you love us or you hate us, jump in those YouTube comments because that helps our algorithm and that makes Johnny Detroit very happy. From Joe, Marco, Ralph, Ariel, Andy, and myself, thank you guys for watching Bet On It. Until next Monday, we'll see you then. I'm not saying it because I hate my best bet that much.